Shalom. I want to start this off by giving our praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Wahaw Kakwadash. Peace and salutations to the elect men of Israel, starting with the elder apostles of GMS on down, as well on down to the rest of you brothers and the brothers that I labor with, who all push forth the will and doctrine of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, in all faith, truth, and sincerity, according to the true understanding of the scriptures. To all of you, I say Shalom. So this lesson is just going to be a quick lesson going into looking to have a mind after the Most High, right? And looking to have your mind built with Him at the center of everything. You know, you want to be looking to have your mind built and structured off of His thoughts, the thoughts that He has given to us within His word, within the scriptures, right? And with you doing so, you bring upon yourself ultimately salvation, a guide to help keep you from judgment, to keep you from going off, to help you to stay in the spirit and to no longer continue to sin, right? Because it all starts in the mind. So it's good to hold on to the Lord's mind, His thoughts, and His way of doing things versus our own, because ours is desperately wicked, with us being in this flesh, these carnal bodies, these bodies that are subject to sin, you know? So that's what I want to be going into. And the premier scripture is going to be Isaiah 55 and verse 8. But let me get this real fast. This is Jeremiah 17 and verse 9. It says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" You see? So what you're seeing being spoken about here is talking about the mind of man, right? Because that heart goes into your mind. We can get that real quick, right? So this word in the Hebrew for mind is lab, right? It's a la and a ba, but you merge them together to make one noise, one sound, you know? Lab. So you see here it says inner man, your mind, will, heart, understanding. So it's in regards to the way you think. Now, obviously, your physical heart doesn't think, right? What is it that sends signals to your heart? Your mind. Your mind is what signals to the body what to do, how to feel, and things and such, you know, so on and so forth. So this is in regards to talking about your mind, you know, and this is specifically talking about man's mind, you know. So man's mind is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? You know, it says in Proverbs 14 and 12, it says, "There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death." And that's in regards to a man trusting in his own thoughts, and man's thoughts and not the Lord's thoughts, right? You're not going on to counsel with the Lord, counsel with His wisdom, you know? If you just going off of, you know, the carnal mind, a man's mind, you know what I'm saying, a human mind, if you will, right? But the Lord gave us His words coming from His mind to help be a guide to us, you know? And we should be looking to filter our thoughts and our way of thinking through his thoughts, because he's above all things. He's above us. You know, his point of view is different than our point of view, but his point of view is greater than ours. Right? And on top of that, him being the potter and us the clay, he's the one that made us. Before he formed us in the belly, he knew us. So with him knowing who we are and what we meant to be, because again, he formed us, right? We should be going to seek out his thoughts and what it is that he has in store for us. You know, you better understand your lot when you understand. You understand your purpose a lot when you understand. The Lord has the answers, not yourself. You know, and the way that you can receive the Lord's word could be in a slew of different ways. You reading the scriptures, right? You listening to men that read the scriptures, those specifically godly men that have been set up with the true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, starting with the elders and bishops of GMS on down, all right? Those who actually rule well, that are actually going on to do the works correctly and righteously, you know, not with ill intent or malicious intent, you know, but those that are truly striving to have a mind after the Most High, truly striving to walk as Yahushua walked, you know, looking to be a brother's keeper, looking to actually help our people to succeed, you know, and not set up snares and traps for them, you know. That's why it's better to trust in his thoughts and not our own, right? They say that in Proverbs 3:5. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not onto thine own understanding." You see? So you trust in the Lord's mind, not your own. It says, verse 6, "In all thy ways acknowledge him." The way that you do that is by you keeping him at the forefront of everything that you do, every thought that you have, you know. You looking for ways to incorporate the Lord within your thoughts and your actions. You truly seeking, is this the way that the Lord wants me to do this? You know, thoughts like that. If not, if you don't know, then it's a let me go check, let me go prove it. You know, because the scriptures say that prove all things. So the way that you prove those things is by applying it to the Lord's ways. You know, it says, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." You see, when you have your mind on him, he's going to make sure that you're straight. Right? It says in the NLT, verse 6, "Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take." You see? And that's like even that's that next verse in that Jeremiah 17, right? Verse 10, what does it say? It says, "I the Lord search the heart." So he searched the minds of men. It says, "I try the reins even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings." So if your ways are if your ways and your fruits are according to the Lord or aligned with the Lord, then you're going to receive more of those things of the Lord. You know? The more that you praise and worship him, and the more you put your trust in him and put your trust in his thoughts, the more he can give you his, that strength. Give you his spirit. To where you can hold on to those thoughts of his. You know? To where then your thoughts align with his. To where now you have a heart, a mind after the Lord. You know? Not his mind, but it's after his being, it's aligned with his, you know. You're following after his footsteps, basically, if that makes sense. And that's the mentality that you want to have. You want to be looking to seek, okay, how is the Lord wanting me to do this? How can I please him? Is this going to help me to receive salvation? Is this helping me to stay on the straight and narrow? Is this going to help me to continue to grow, or is this going to hurt me? You know? You looking for those different ways to please him, right? It even says that in Psalm 37, you know, that he'd give you, you know, the desires of your mind, right? It says in I'm gonna start at verse 3. Psalms 37:3, trust in the Lord and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. It says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. You see? So when you delight yourself in the things that's of the Lord, right? When you trust in him, he's going to keep you at peace. He's going to give you the things of, that you go on to desire. And the things that you go on to desire are going to be righteous things, because your mind is now being fixed on his thoughts, his ways of doing things. You know? It says, verse 5, commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. You see? So that's what you need to be going on to do, right? So jumping back to that Isaiah 55 and verse, I'm going to start at verse 7, right? But again, the point is in verse 8. It says, let the wicked forsake his way. You see? And we understand that the wicked is somebody that is somebody that's going against the Lord, that is looking to do things contrary to how the Lord has established things to be. You know? So when you go on to forsake that wicked way, right, you repenting, turning back, you turning back to the Lord, to where now you're taking on his mentality, right? You're now applying his words, this Bible, you know what I'm saying, the words of this book to yourself. And it's through his words that you receive life. You know, it's through his spirit that you receive life. Because these words are coming from his spirit, you know? And it says, real quick, and I'm going to jump right back. What is that? John 6:63 says, it is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profited nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. You see? So it's through the spirit of the Lord, through you truly seeking him and you trying to do good, you holding on to his spirit, holding on to wisdom, the spirit of wisdom, you know, holding on to his wisdom, holding on to the things that's of the Lord, right? You holding on to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? You holding on to those things, learning who you really are and upholding that standard, that you are quickened, right? That you come to life, that you're no longer those dry bones, you know? You're no longer asleep, you're no longer dead, but now you are alive. And you got to make sure that you continue to keep doing the things to stay alive, you know? And that comes with you further growing within his word, building up that trust that you have within him, holding on to him when things get troublesome, you know, when things get hard, and in times that things are good, you know. Job said it best, shall we not receive the good and not of the evil also? You know, the Lord deal with the good and the bad, and he gonna give you the good and the bad to prove you, see if you truly worthy. Do you truly trust in him? You know, and the way that you do that, again, It's forsaking that way that is evil, and turning to him. It says, let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. You see? And let him return unto the Lord. That return is you repenting. Right? Repenting, turning back and putting aside, putting away those things of that man that was off, that was dead, that was caught up in a carnal mind, looking to trust in his own thoughts and not the thoughts of the Lord. Because you don't even realize it's Satan that plagues your thoughts and your mind. And that's further more of a reason why it is we need to trust in the Lord and his thoughts and his mind. But it says, and he will have mercy upon him and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. You see? So when you turn on to him, you could be forgiven. You could be brought into the sheepfold. You know? Those of you that are truly and diligently looking to do what's right. And think how you're supposed to think. You know? Putting off the old man and you know the weak natures. You know? It says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. You see? The way that he thinks is differently than the way that we think, but the way that he thinks is pure. So it makes sense. His way of thinking and his thoughts are vetted far beyond ours. So fuck my thoughts, fuck your thoughts. What does the Lord say? What does he think? How does he view the situation? We gonna go with that, you know? And by 2 or 3, every matter is established. So you have Yahweh Shai also standing along with him, you know? Going along to complete his mission, which is to do the will of his Father, right? His head, his lead. So we are to do the same in likeness, you know? Now we follow after Yahweh Shai's lead, his head, you know what I'm saying? It's like we follow after his lead being our head, you know? It says, for as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So when you take hold of the Lord's ways of thinking, it's now on a higher level, you know? And it makes sense because, again, we're the Lord's portion. We're his chosen people. So we're supposed to be set apart, holy, you know? We're supposed to be consecrated. We're supposed to be on a royal status. So we're not just going to do things in the same way that everybody else does things. No, we're going to do things the right way. We're going to do things in a way that isn't common to man, you know, profane. We're going to do things in a way to where it keeps us separated and it shows the glory of the Lord, you know, and that comes through you holding on to his ways, you know. I want to say it's Ephesians 4 that I'm thinking of. Yep. Ephesians 4 and verse 22. It says that ye put off concerning the former conversation the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust. You see? And what was deceitful being written about in that Jeremiah, right? The heart, man's thoughts, man's feelings, the flesh, you know? Our flesh is what's contrary to the spirit. So we gotta lean on the spirit, because that's how we are able to be connected to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. through the Spirit. That's why it's important to build our spirit up in likeness to theirs. You know, that's how we become the image of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. It's building our spirits up, to beat our flesh into submission, to where it doesn't have reign over us. You know, it says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. You see, in the NLT, instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. You see, back in the KJV, it says, and that ye put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. You see, that's what we're looking to do. Right? And the NLT says, put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy. You see, and the way that you do that is by holding on to the words that are of his spirit. You know? What is that? That I'm thinking of. Yeah, and I'll end it here. This is 2 Timothy 3:16. It says, all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. You see? It says all scripture is given by inspiration of God. So through his word, that's how you go on to live after his thoughts. How you no longer deceive yourself and deceive others by just fucking talking. You know? If they speak not according to this word, there is no light in them. Why? It's because the Lord's word is what brings light. His spirit is what brings light. So you hold on to his spirit, to his words. Because that's what quickens you. That's what brings you to life. That's what allows you to shine bright. Right? And with you doing that, then you can be that light to everybody else that's in darkness. You know? But that's all through you holding on to his word. And this word is given after inspiration of him in his mind. Right? So if we are to walk like, if we truly believe in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, we are to walk after him, that means we got to be holding on to the same principles, you know what I'm saying, that our head did, that Yahushai did, which is according to this word, because he is the word, you know. So it says all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, you see, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. It says that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished in all good works. You see, and right now we're not perfect, but we strive for perfection. And the way that we do that is through Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, by trusting in his thoughts and leaning upon his thoughts. Right? Isaiah 26:3. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in thee. So if your mind is constantly on the Lord and you're looking to incorporate him with everything that you do, right, you're now going to be thinking, you know what I'm saying, in a godly manner. And the way that you help fine-tune that too is through other men, other godly men. You know what I'm saying? Because now they're cut from the same cloth, that same stone. So now that iron can sharpen it, you know what I'm saying, that iron, your iron, you know? It says, trust ye in the Lord forever, for in the Lord Yahweh is everlasting strength. You see? So through him, you're going to have that strength. Through him, you're going to be able to receive that strength to build your spirit stronger than the flesh, to be able to endure the troubling times, endure the things that are coming, right? Through his word, you could prepare yourself for temptation, you know? And I'll get that real quick. Lord will let it be that. It says, Sirach 2:1, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. Why? Because you're supposed to trust in the Lord. You understand the Lord, you know, he gonna throw the good and the bad at you. It's all to prove you. See how you deal with these things and see how 10 toes strong you standing for him, you know? Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. You see? It says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. For gold is tried in the fire, an acceptable man in the furnace of adversity. So we know we're gonna receive the good and the bad. We understand that all of what we receive, especially the troubling times and things that may be a struggle. It's only that refining fire to keep us pure, to keep us on point, and to build us up to be able to endure all things. And Lord willing, we those of you, including myself, that go on to try to strive for that perfection and try to strive for that, we be of the hopeful elect. So that's pretty much it, Lord willing. This has been edifying. With that, I'm gonna give all the praise and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Kakwadash.